Soldier dead, others injured as private vehicle recklessly runs into troops during biannual route march in Lagos. Police Service Commission orders immediate retirement of all senior police officers above 60 years. PDP governors affirm former National Youth Leader Sunday Okoye as National Secretary. On the foreign scene, United States authorities recover 41 bodies after plane collision in Washington, D.C. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okoyemuni. The 81 Division of the Nigerian Army has said a driver of a private vehicle recklessly ran into troops during its biannual route march near Bayong Barracks in Yaba, Lagos State on Friday. According to a statement signed by the Acting Deputy Director of Army Public Relations, 81 Division, Lieutenant Colonel Olabisi Ayeni, this resulted in the death of a soldier, with others sustaining various degrees of injuries. He said the deceased has been deposited in the mortuary while the injured were receiving medical care at 68 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. Lieutenant Colonel Ayeni said the 81 Division Military Police and other relevant security agencies are conducting a thorough investigation into the circumstances that led to this incident. He added that the General Officer commanding 81 Division, NA, Major General Farouk Major Yawa, expressed his deepest condolences to the families of the deceased while praying for the speedy recovery of the wounded. The military says troops have neutralized 358 terrorists and arrested 431 suspects during the month of January 2025. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, who disclosed this in a statement on Friday, said it is in continuation of a military sustained tempo in defeating terrorists and their cohorts in the ongoing counter-terrorist and insurgency operations across the country. He said troops also apprehended 59 perpetrators of oil theft and rescued 249 kidnapped hostages. The statement disclosed that in the South-South, troops denied oil theft of the estimated sum of over 2 billion naira. The statement further added that troops recovered 370 weapons and 4,972 ammunition, which includes 105 AK-47 rifles, 25 locally fabricated guns, 32 Dane guns, 23 pump-action guns, 3,066 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammo, 758 rounds of 7.62 mm NATO, 980 cartridges, 72 assorted arms, and 500 assorted ammunition. The Police Service Commission has ordered the immediate retirement of all senior police officers who have either exceeded 35 years in service or are above the age of 60. The directive follows controversy over the tenure of Inspector General of Police, Adegboyega, after he clocked 60 years. The police and the Attorney General of the Federation have, however, said his continued stay in office is lawful. A statement on Friday by the PSC's head of press and public relations, Ikechukwu Ani, noted that the commission revealed its earlier stance from the 24th plenary meeting in September 2017, which allowed forced entrants to use their date of enlistment instead of their initial appointment date. However, Ani said the PSC has now reversed this decision, citing its inconsistency with Public Service Rule, which mandates retirement upon reaching 35 years in service or the age of 60. Ani added that the directive has been formally communicated to the Inspector General of Police for immediate implementation. Talking politics, state governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have affirmed a former national youth leader, Sunday Okoye, as the party's national secretary, in accordance with the appeal court's judgment in Enugu State. Under the leadership of Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, the PDP governors distanced themselves from the embattled Samuel Anyanwu and confirmed Okoye as the party's national secretary during a meeting held in Asaba, the capital of Delta State, on Friday. In a communique made available to journalists and signed by Mohammed, the PDP governors also asked the acting national chairman, Umaru Damagum, and the National Working Committee to convene the National Executive Committee meeting by March 13, 2025 at the latest. It will be recalled that the PDP has faced substantial internal challenges both before and after the 2023 general elections, creating ongoing instability within the party. Demagam, who became the acting national chairman, has come under criticism from party members who blame him for the party's continued struggles. In 2023, the PDP Southeast Zone nominated Ude Okoye to replace Ayahu, who had been chosen as the party's candidate for the Imo State governorship election. The Southeast PDP argued that Ayahu should step down from his role as the national secretary given his new political responsibilities, which led to further controversy and division within the party. Meanwhile, Senator Ned Nwoko, representing Delta North, has resigned from the People's Democratic Party, a political group he has served since its foundation in 1999. In a resignation letter addressed to the party leadership in Ward 8 Aniocha North local government area of Delta State, the senator expressed dissatisfaction with the current state of the PDP, citing deep divisions and irreconcilable factions as the primary reasons for his departure. The senator further lamented recent events that underscored the party's internal strife. Nwoko thanked the PDP for the platform it provided him during the 2022-2023 senatorial elections, which allowed him to engage with his constituents directly. However, he underscored his commitment to fulfilling the promises he made during his campaign, a task he believes has been hindered by the party's current structure in Delta State. The senator, who also serves as the chairman of a Senate Committee on Reparations and vice chairman of a Senate Committee on Environment and Sports Development, emphasized that his decision was made in the best interest of those he represents. A series of tanker explosions in recent weeks has sparked growing alarm over transportation and industrial safety. These incidents, occurring in various locations, have caused massive fires, property destruction, and in some cases, loss of life. The rising frequency of explosions has intensified calls for stricter safety measures and industry-wide reforms. Temitope Ajijola Oluwaola has more on this.
Imagine this: a busy highway, people going about their daily lives, and then a tanker explodes, sending flames and chaos in every direction. Lives are lost, properties destroyed, and in the aftermath, the same questions linger. Why does this keep happening, and what can we do to stop it? Tanker explosions in Nigeria have become a deadly and all too frequent tragedy. Time and again, we've seen the devastating impact: families torn apart, businesses wiped out, and entire communities left in mourning. Just a few months ago, in October 2024, tragedy struck Jigawa State. A fuel tanker overturned in Majia, and before authorities could intervene, hundreds of people rushed to scoop fuel. In an instant, flames engulfed the scene. 209 lives lost, over 120 injured. And then barely into the new year, Niger State suffered a similar fate. On January 18, 2025, a tanker fell in the Suleja area, spilling fuel onto the road. Once again, people gathered, hoping to collect the precious liquid. Then, disaster. A massive explosion ripped through the area, killing 98 people and leaving dozens more in critical condition. And just days later in Enugu, another nightmare unfolded. A tanker lost control on the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway, colliding with 17 vehicles and igniting a massive fireball. 18 people perished, and emergency responders fought through the flames to rescue survivors. Most recently, on January 30, 2025, another explosion rocked Jigawa State, this time at a filling station. A tanker unloading fuel suddenly ignited, causing a massive fire that engulfed the station and nearby structures. Several people lost their lives and many others suffered severe burns, adding to the growing toll of fuel-related disasters in Nigeria. These are not just numbers. These are human lives, mothers, fathers, children, gone in an instant. Why do these explosions keep happening? The reasons are painfully clear. Poor road conditions, reckless driving, failing vehicles, and most tragically, the dangerous habit of fuel scooping. People rush to collect spilled fuel, unaware that they are seconds away from catastrophe.
We have three causative factors. We have the human error, we have the road network, we have the mechanical faults of each vehicle. So any of this or combination of all of this can cause the tanker explosions that we have, and coupled with the weather that is very, very intense nowadays.
And yet, despite countless warnings and past disasters, the cycle repeats itself. We cannot afford to sit back and wait for the next tragedy. The time to act is now. Stronger safety regulations must be enforced, ensuring that field transportation follows strict guidelines. Better roads must be built and maintained to reduce accidents. Drivers need proper training to handle these dangerous cargoes safely. Most importantly, public awareness is crucial. People must understand that scooping fuel from a falling tanker is a death trap, not an opportunity.
As it stands, every of those trucks we ensure they install speed limiting devices there, so that they won't go beyond this speed limit that they are supposed to go. But above all, we need to talk to ourselves. We need to do more of advocacy to people. We need to talk more, because that is a crash, a tanker crash that is supposed to probably take 1 or 2 lives, end up taking 100. So what we need more now is to talk to our people. If there is a crash, if there is any tanker crash, run for your life. That's the first thing. Run for your life. Call for emergency so that emergency people can get there. We have toll-free lines 122, which is for FRSC. We have 112 for national emergency. Call, and every emergency personnel will be at the scene.
Tanker explosions are not just statistics. They are real lives lost, families shattered, and futures destroyed. But it does not have to be this way. If we take action today, enforce the right policies, and educate the public, we can put an end to this preventable disaster. Jigawa, Niger, Enugu, these tragedies must not be in vain. Let's stop waiting for the next explosion. Let's save lives. The time for change is now. Temitope Ajijola Oluwaola, Western Spring Television News.
The judicial matters, the Federal High Court in Lagos has remanded 13 Chinese nationals and the company, Genting International Company Limited, on charges of alleged impersonation, fraud, and attempts to destabilize Nigeria's constitutional structure. Justice Dainde Dikpeolu issued the remand order on Friday after the defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges brought against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The defendants were among the suspects arrested on December 10, 2024, at their hideout in No. 7 Oyin Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. The EFCC acted on credible intelligence linking them to cybercrime and fraudulent activities. After the charges were read to the defendants individually, they all pleaded not guilty except for Wang Zhengming, who rejected the EFCC's appointed lawyer and requested time to hire his own legal representation. Following their pleas, Justice Dikpeolu ordered the defendants be held at correctional facilities pending trial. The Osun State High Court sitting in Ile-Ife has delivered a landmark judgment nullifying the executive order and white paper on the Owa of Igbajo stool. In a decisive judgment, Justice Adegboyega affirmed Oba Philip Adegboyega Famodun III as a legitimate Owa of Igbajo, effectively overturning the government's decision. It will be recalled that Oba Famodun had been removed by the state government following the implementation of the resolutions contained in the white paper issued by the panel that probed the events preceding his appointment as a royal father. The court, however, held that Oba Famodun's nomination and appointment were in accordance with the Igbajo chieftaincy declaration. The judge also observed that the government's actions were contradictory, as it had initially appointed Oba Famodun only to later condemn its own process and authority. Justice Ayola declared Oba Famodun's removal unconstitutional and the white paper issued to remove him ill-advised and of no effect. While reacting, Bukola Onifade, the lawyer to the Owa of Igbajo land, Oba Ademola Adeleke, calls the judgment a miscarriage of justice, stating that a notice of appeal have been filed, including an application for stay of execution and injunction pending appeal. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo has secured induction of 128 medical graduates of Ambrose Ali University, Ekpoma. This was contained in a press statement by the governor's chief press secretary, Fred Itua, on Friday. The medical graduates have had the induction delayed since August 2024 after spending 10 years in medical school due to some lingering crisis. The statement revealed that following a formal protest by the medical students, the state government liaised with the relevant authorities to resolve the crisis and reposition the medical school for seamless induction. With the intervention, the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria has fixed the 13th of February 2025 for the 128 medical graduates to be inducted into the medical profession. The registration for the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) will now commence on Monday, February 3, 2025, instead of Friday, January 31, 2025. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) made this known in a statement released by its spokesperson Fabian Benjamin on Friday. Benjamin stated that this change is necessary to allow the board to implement essential adjustments to its registration templates. These adjustments, according to him, come in light of the recent suspension of certain law programs at selected universities as submitted to the board by the Council for Legal Education. Additionally, the board said it discovered that some computer-based test centers had used deceptive facilities to be approved, prompting the need for further scrutiny and corrections by disapproving such centers. It added that the additional time will be used to ensure that all necessary changes are made to ensure a smooth registration process. As Muslims all over the world commemorate the World Hijab Day 2025, Muslim women in Osun State say they are still experiencing harassment for adorning themselves with a hijab. To address the situation, the Organization of Muslim Women in Osun State wants the state government to respect, abide by, and ensure full implementation of a judgment of Supreme Court on hijab. Speaking to journalists, the President, Organization of Muslim Women, Alaja Sadiat Dasola Oladapo, and other leaders of the organization, including Alaja Medinat Adeola Okweji and Dr. Mulikat Azan, called on the state government to protect the rights of Muslim women to wear the hijab without any form of harassment. Similarly, other leaders like Alaja Monsurat Mamatu Awa and Alaja Sribat Bolanle Babalola Adubi urged the Osun State government to end discrimination and harassment of Muslim women wearing hijab. The theme for World Hijab Day 2025, Hijabis Unsilenced, highlights the strength and resilience of women who wear the hijab and calls for their voices to be heard.
This is the 13th edition of World Hijab Day. We want the people to understand that hijab is not retrogressive. Hijab is progress. Hijab means progress, and it is a command by Almighty Allah. Every Muslim woman should imbibe the spirit of putting on the hijab in the correct way. It should not be a sometimes thing. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As we celebrate, we have programs for this year.
We are imploring the government to make memos to all parastatals schools, all concerned agencies to enforce the use of hijab in every agencies and the education sector.
Despite a landmark Supreme Court ruling affirming the rights of female Muslim students to wear hijab in educational institutions, some schools continue to enforce discriminatory practices. Even when the hijab is allowed, some teachers and school principals compel students to tuck in their hijabs into their uniforms, effectively diluting the full exercise of their constitutional rights.
The challenges in biometric data collection. Biometric data collection processes often required Muslim women to completely unveil, causing discomfort and violating their religious convictions. While the need for accurate identification is acknowledged, there are respective alternatives that balance security with religious sensitivities.
And we thank Almighty God that we are not just celebrating, but people they have come to know that hijab is a responsibility of all Muslim women and not just a fashion. Hijab is piety. Hijab is obedience to Almighty Allah.
In other news, the federal government has announced plans to deliver 100,000 social housing units for vulnerable groups across all 774 local government areas. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dingiwa, revealed these during his presentation at the 4th edition of the Real Estate Future Forum in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Dingiwa called on global investors in Saudi Arabia to take advantage of the huge opportunities in Nigeria's housing sector. It disclosed that Nigeria's huge housing deficit offers enormous business opportunities, adding that the renewed Hope Cities and Estate program serves as low-hanging fruit for investors in the Middle Eastern nation to take advantage of and get good returns. Dingiwa noted that Nigeria's real estate sector contributed around 5.2% to the nation's GDP in 2024 and will increase in market volume to $2.25 trillion by the end of 2025, saying that despite this, there is still tremendous opportunity for investment, especially in the residential real estate segment. You're watching News at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, NYSC Director General announces that core members will begin receiving new monthly allowance of 77,000 naira starting from February 2025. We'll bring you more on this when we return. This is still News at 7 on Western Spring Television. A reminder of our headlines. The 81 Division of the Nigerian Army has said a driver of a private vehicle recklessly ran into troops during its biannual route march near Myong Barracks in Jaba, Lagos State on Friday. The Police Service Commission has ordered the immediate retirement of all senior police officers who have either exceeded 35 years in service or are above the age of 60. State governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) have affirmed a former national youth leader, Sunday Ude Okoye, as the party's national secretary in accordance with the appeal court's judgment in Enugu State. On the foreign scene, United States authorities have recovered 41 bodies after a plane crash in Washington, D.C. The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Yushau Ahmed, has announced that Corps members will begin receiving a new monthly allowance of 77,000 naira starting from February 2025. The NYSC DG disclosed these while speaking to the 2024 Batch C Stream 2 Corps members in Katsina State. Ahmed confirmed that the increment has been included in the 2025 federal government budget and will take effect once the budget is passed. He emphasized the government's commitment to Corps members' welfare and security, urging them to reciprocate the gesture by serving diligently. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has decried what he describes as systematic dismantling of the opposition by the President Bola Tinubu administration. In a post on his X handle, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) 2023 presidential candidate said the recent arrest and prosecution of Omoyele Sowore and Usman Yusuf is the latest in the harassment of opposition figures. Sowore, who is the convener of the Revolution Now movement, had honored the invitation of the police on Monday when he was questioned at the Force Criminal Investigation Department. On Thursday, the court granted Sowore bail to the tune of 10 million naira and one surety in like sum. Another critic of the Tinubu administration and former executive secretary of National Health Insurance Scheme, Usman Yusuf, was arrested on Wednesday by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) on allegations of fraud. While reacting, Atiku accused the APC and President Tinubu of devoting their energies to the systematic harassment, intimidation, and dismantling of the opposition, all in service of a grand design